Hey everyone, Kevin here. As you build out your YouTube studio, I'm sure you've thought about your camera, your lighting, or maybe your audio, but color scheme isn't something talked about as much, and yet it makes a huge difference. And there's so many to choose from. Now, if you're a designer or have just been incredibly observant, you'll notice that sometimes, most of the times, it's not studios with more colors that always look the best. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. It's almost always those that have less but intentionally chosen colors that are the most pleasing to the eye and communicate the most intentionality. So here's 5 of my favorite studio color schemes for you to get inspired and learn from as you build out your own. And we're gonna be drawing on them here on this iPad, so let's have some fun. So for this first one, we have none other than the legend himself, Marques Brownlee from the channel MKBHD.
I'm Marques Brownlee, and I review dope new tech.
And I honestly love this color scheme. And just to give each of these a name to make it more fun here, I would call this one Clean Tech Red. And it's got this red, this really brilliant, bold red on this backdrop of white and black. And what I love about this color scheme is that it reminds me of this cool tech vibe, this clean and modern advancement of tech paired with this power feeling that you get from this bright red. And it fits his channel really well here as a tech YouTuber, I believe the biggest one in the world. And he's also now one of the biggest voices inspiring and showing us where the future of tech is headed. So for those of you interested in creating a similar color scheme like this, or if you have similar goals for your content, you mainly want to capture this bright, powerful feeling against that clean background. So to pull this off, I highly encourage you to make sure that you have a very nice, clean, brilliant white background. It's very easy sometimes to misjudge and just use a kind of a yellowy wall color that comes with many of your houses or apartments just by default. I would even consider painting it white so you have that nice clean background that communicates this sort of tech feeling and allows that red to stand out more. And once you have that wall color, you wanna make sure you're also lighting it properly. Lighting a nice brilliant white wall with yellowish lights is gonna also still make it yellow. So make sure your lights are also the cool white variety so that you make the most of that clean white background you have. And finally, to round out this color scheme, make sure that red color you're choosing for your studio is that nice, brilliant, bold red to really pack a punch here and lean into that color scheme. You don't want something that's super dull or desaturated or too dark, as it won't provide that contrast and that power that you're looking for. All right, so this one can be a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy this one. Moving on. All right, so the next one we have here is another one of my personal favorites. This here is Thomas Frank. And Thomas and I actually met on another shoot that we were doing where I had helped put together a studio for Tiago Forte, and they did a collab and we were helping them film some stuff. You can see that video up here. We're gonna throw the card. And honestly, Thomas has so many interesting thoughts when it comes to helping creators. And part of his brand is helping people with the productivity side of things, but he is also a musician and a creator at heart. And I think he does an amazing job with his studio here to sort of bridge those two worlds. You can see the guitar on the back wall, and I think this is a keyboard right here. And what he's done so well with this color scheme right here is he's created this sort of atmosphere that pulls you into that mindset, that creative mindset, that sort of in your feelings vibe that you want to be as a creator. It's kind of got this nice cozy feeling that makes you almost lose track of time and tap into that artistic side. And this is that holy grail of where you want to be as a creative, as an artist. You want to be in your feelings, you want to be there and just experience this magic of what could happen. And I think this is such a good color choice for that specific purpose. You know, you have these really nice, powerful, bright magenta colors right here. And he's paired that with these nice, cool, subdued purples that almost give a sad feeling in a way. And so when these two merge together, it just creates this really nice, rich, emotional context. Reminds me of something like maybe a tropical sunset mixed with something that's a little bit overcast and nostalgic. And there's a little bit of sadness, and all these things working together with that gradient of these colors merging together, I think works really incredibly well. So for those of you who might be artists or creatives and want to really create this rich feeling of nostalgia and kind of these lo-fi cozy vibes, definitely feel free to play with this color scheme. And also don't be afraid to experiment with different colors too. Each colors, even different shades of the same color, are going to give you these subtly different emotions. So you all are the artists out there, you know what I'm talking about. Don't be afraid to experiment and have fun with this one. All right, so next we've got this really nice color scheme. Another one of, okay, these are all my favorites. I call this one the Minimalist Charcoal color scheme. And I love this one. This is Ronald L. Banks, amazing YouTuber yet again, you should follow him. I love this because of how much understated elegance this color scheme evokes. It's got sort of this silent strength you get from looking at it. It's not super flashy or super vibrant, but at the same time, it definitely packs this very stable and balanced, powerful feeling to it. And this works perfectly for his channel. And if you've ever seen his content, his channel is all about minimalism and finding this sense of centeredness and living a good, simple life. So this matches the emotions perfectly that he's trying to convey through his content. So here you can see that this shot is composed mostly of just honestly very simple colors. You know, these are natural, neutral colors that you would normally see living a simple life. So you have the colors of, say, wood here in the background, of kind of this charcoal grayish color, of these natural plant colors. But mostly the predominant color scheme here is just these varying shades of gray. And you know, it doesn't sound super exciting, but when you put it together with how he's done it, it actually creates this very nice understated effect. So for those of you who want to create a similar look like this one, look at the natural colors around you and play with grays as well. Imagine just a bunch of stones or rocks, like what these colors would look like, and play with a bunch of different shades so you can have some variation. And so it's not just one blank wall with gray. It's got some variety, but at the same time, you're just playing with this nice, neutral, natural color palette. So next we have Becky and Chris. If you've seen any of the other videos here on this channel, you know that Becky and Chris are some of my favorite inspirations and fellow creators here. They did an absolutely amazing job with their studio here. They've got a bunch of different studio setups, but this one in particular I wanted to point out. This exemplifies, I think, their taste very well. And here we have a shot that is predominantly just jet black. Kind of see it here all over the place. This entire area is all just jet black. But you can see here what they've also added to that black background is a lot of areas of warmth. And they've done that in two ways. Firstly, with this light here in the background, this light, but also this nice warm wood tones. And what this does is it pairs very nicely to complement each other. So now I would call this color scheme Cozy Midnight because it's got that bold punch of that dark, dark black here, but it doesn't feel like it's a threatening kind of darkness, right? It doesn't feel like you're falling into the abyss or something that you'd run away from as a kid, you know, when you turn off the lights in the basement and you hurry to run up the stairs. It's got this kind of a nice warm feeling from what I mentioned here. And as a result, it sort of wraps you up in this cozy feeling, almost like you're in a hug, like you're at a campfire, where the darkness isn't as scary, but more just a backdrop for the warmth that you feel. So I think they do an amazing job here because, again, this is what their content is about. Trying to provide this place that's very cozy and warm and uplifting for the other creators out there. Because as you all know, if you're trying to build a studio, being a creator is kind of hard. There's a lot of different ups and downs. And so, you know, being a place where creators can come and learn, I think they do that very, very well. And so at the same time, they don't just do the warm side. They also make a nice, bold statement of being these amazing designers. So they really, really lean into that boldness, and that comes with the dark jet blacks here. So for those of you trying to create a similar look with your studio, if this appeals to you, don't be afraid to really go all out with this. Really paint your space black, use black accent furniture like they've done here, but remember to add some stuff to bring in that nice warm tones. So again, like the wood tones here, or the different textures and whites and grays that she's added. And that really brings in that warmth to contrast against that scary darkness surrounding on the sides. So this year's Becky and Chris, go give them a follow. They've got amazing stuff. So next we have the legendary author Amy Tan from her masterclass.
They'll say fiction is a bunch of lies. I would say fiction is actually one of the best ways for finding truth.
And I call this one, just to be kind of cheesy, Daydream Blue, because it evokes that feeling of sort of being in this whimsical place where you're letting your creativity flow and you're kind of daydreaming. Because again, she's a writer, she's creating these worlds from nothing. So masterclass here, again, they've done some amazing, amazing work, and they're not just a masterclass in terms of what they're teaching, but also a masterclass in studio design and making you show up as an expert on camera. So kind of think of this as a meta masterclass, what we're doing here. And so I actually made, by the way, if you haven't seen it, there's a whole video breaking down how to create the masterclass look and how they've set up their lighting and background design and everything. And because again, I'm a huge fan. I think they've done an amazing job. So posting that video up here, go check it out if you want to. But coming back to what we're talking about here with Amy Tan. So I love this look that she and the masterclass team has created for her in the background. It's this very bold blue that you normally don't see across an entire wall of a bookshelf or in someone's house like this. But they've done it in a way that looks really nice. And I call this the Daydream Blue, but it makes it feel like this blue isn't kind of overpowering or encroaching on your space. It feels kind of light to me, to me, it feels like that feeling you get from watching that montage scene from the movie Up, you know, where it goes through the story of their life and they're filled with wonder and they're looking at the clouds and really imagining all the possibilities out there. And that's the feeling that this reminds me of personally, or maybe that wall from the movie Toy Story, right? That nice blue sky with the clouds. And to me, it's such a genius way that the folks at Masterclass have designed this, because this bookshelf here is setting that tone, that stage for Amy Tan and her content. So Amy's an author here who is teaching you about writing books, and about taking you through this magic of kind of daydreaming through the craft and figuring out how it's possible to recreate your reality. And so I think by doing this, by using this nice blue color palette, they're really creating that special mental space for their audience, making it possible for you to daydream and get into that mental flow. So for those of you who have a similar need for your content and want to create a similar mental environment for your viewers, think about how you can maybe incorporate blue, and specifically this shade of blue, kind of the light, fluffy clouds kind of blue. And also here, make sure you have some complementary colors too. Perhaps maybe a yellowish orange, maybe some wood tones like you have here. And also, just keep in mind, all of our skin tones, no matter how light or dark your skin is, all of our skin tones are on that spectrum between yellow and orange. And so that fits in really well with this blue color scheme. So I highly recommend playing with this one. This is a great one to experiment with and learn from as well. And then finally, as a bonus, I wanted to share with you something to avoid as you're picking your color scheme. One thing you'll notice, and we kind of did that here in this Mark Zuckerberg redesign video we did. We took Mark Zuckerberg's YouTube studio or interview studio. We redesigned it in Photoshop because of course we didn't have access to Mark Zuckerberg himself. But one thing that we noticed in that video is his color scheme was designed in a way that sort of blended in with him. So he sort of faded into the background, and you'll notice here there's the entire top half of the frame is this beige peach color that matches him, and the darkness below, the bottom half, is this dark rectangle that he and his dark clothing also recede into. So if you're squinting your eyes, he kind of disappears. And this is the opposite of what you want when you're designing your color scheme. Remember, you are part of your color scheme, and you want to make sure that you are also designing for how you show up in that frame. So what we did to fix this is we changed up the colors behind him so that he stands out a little bit more, and changed the color of his shirt and clothing as well. So keep that in mind as you're designing your color scheme. It's not just about what you paint your wall, not just about the stuff you put in the frame, but also about you. You're putting you in the frame. You want to make sure it works nicely with who you are as well. So I hope this was helpful. If you're building a studio, I know how tough and intimidating sometimes this can be. You're juggling a lot of stuff from the technical camera, lighting, and audio world, as well as the interior design world and all these design principles and all this stuff. And so I'm here to hopefully make that process a little bit easier. And so I also have a longer, in-depth mini course that you can find on our website. It's a little bit too long to put here on YouTube, but it's gonna guide you through all the aspects that we mentioned and more, so you can feel hopefully a little bit less overwhelmed. And for those of you who really wanna get this done right, you are more than welcome to join us for the next cohort of our Dream Studio course, where we get to work together to help you build out your studio and help you make these decisions and not ever get stuck. And so I just want to put that out there for those of you who might want that extra help. But otherwise, we have some other videos for you here. Here's my personal channel. If you all are curious what the heck I'm also doing here on YouTube, hoping to get back into posting more sometime soon. But check out one of these other videos. And otherwise, I'll see you all in the next video. Much love, my friends. Bye.